Tyler, how you
Hey,
doing?
hey, Greg, how are you?
Good man. Whereabouts are you in the world?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been working down in the studio all day today and am taking this as a welcome coffee break.
Tell me, what was the spark that lit your fire for the guitar initially?
Initially, it was first grade music class. Our teacher was this woman named Renee Witcher, and she showed the class a video of Elvis Presley playing. And I didn't at the time I didn't realize he wasn't playing all of the amazing licks that I was hearing. But I was just, kind of captivated by the way that he looked playing the guitar and was moving around, and I wanted to do that.
Yeah. Did you catch up with that music teacher in later years?
I did, yeah. She's been out to a few Shakedown shows over the years, and I've always been very grateful that my school had a music program, and I was able to learn who Elvis Presley was in school. Not long after that, I met a man named Roosevelt Twitty when I was 11 years old in a music store, and he asked me if I liked the blues. I said I don't know what that is, and he started playing this Lightning Hopkins style, shuffle in E, and it was like downhill from there. I was obsessed with the blues, and we became best friends. Started playing around. Next thing you know, I'm in a rock and roll band.
Yeah. And as you got into the guitar, who were the guitarists that you really admired?
Oh man, so many. I mean, obviously, growing up in Texas, there's such a rich culture around uh, Fender Stratocasters specifically, but the Vaughn brothers, I always idolized them. Jeff Beck was always one of my favorites. Johnny Winter, Muddy Waters, Mike Campbell. As I got older and started getting into songwriting and people who played more kind of to support the song rather than just you know people known as guitar heroes, and I really became a huge fan of the way that Mike Campbell played, and Keith Richards, all of the blues guys, Freddie Albert, BB, all the way to like, I studied the Robert Johnson records, and I was really into like the guys that played with Muddy, like Bob Margolin, or there was a guy named Anson Funderburg that I grew up obsessed with. Just really anyone who was playing anything somewhat soulful, I was into it.
Yeah. Fast forward to 2023, and Fender has created this limited edition Tyler Bryant Pinky Stratocaster.
Is that not
Uh,
crazy?
Yeah, when they first approached you and told you, what were your initial thoughts?
Oh man, I was beside myself. I'm still beside myself. It's such an honor, to me. And if I were working at Fender, I probably could have picked, 15 or 20 people, maybe 120, 500 people that I would think would deserve it more than me. But I'm really grateful, and a lot of people sacrificed for me to have the original pink Stratocaster, and then the one that I got after my original one was stolen and missing for 5.5 years. So it's a rich story that involves a lot of good people, and I'm happy to be the one to have my name on the guitar. It's an honor.
Yeah. Had you admired any other guitarists' signature guitars in the past, or did you own any signature guitars?
Yeah, absolutely. I got to tour with Jeff Beck for a while on his Emotion and Commotion tour, and in the middle of that tour, I went out and got one of the Jeff Beck signatures so I could practice his licks in the hotel rooms after the shows, and I got him to sign it for me. And I think the only other signature model Strat I ever had was I used to work in this guitar shop when I was younger, and I got one of those Tom DeLonge signature Strats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what were the most important elements you wanted them to get right with this guitar?
I mean, obviously the neck was something that I really wanted it to be exactly how my neck is, because I mean, it's like anytime you pick up a guitar, that's the first thing that either fits or doesn't fit, and they really nailed the neck. And I wanted the pick guard to be exactly as mine is, which is hand engraved by this man named John Aldridge. And I mean, they're fantastic. Each one takes him hours upon hours to do, and the attention to detail is you can't do that with a machine. It's literally a person there engraving by hand, and the pickups they're fantastic. I've done multiple blind tests with my original, which is basically just an extension of me at this point. I'm so used to the way that guitar sounds, and even I was getting confused in the blind test. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So what do you need from your pickups? Are you seeking versatility or specific tones?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Strat that this is based off of is, I feel like, a pretty versatile instrument. I can be sharp as a razor or soft as a prayer, and that the pickup combination of having the single coils and then the humbucker down there, um, you can kind of cover a lot of ground with the instrument, and that's one thing I've always been drawn to about that pickup configuration. And Tim Shaw designed the perfect humbucker that's down in the bridge, and I've been using it for years. And it's not it. You can have a little bit of a volume jump, but it's not so drastic that it feels out of place or out of character. Just when I go to that bridge pickup, it just kind of inspires me to want to push it a little harder. But you could also use the tone knobs to dial that back if you wanted. I
Yeah.
don't.
Um, you mentioned the neck and how important that is. How do you like your action setup? Do you like a low action so you can glide up and down the neck, or do you like to dig in?
Well, I mean, the 60s style Strats, they're notorious for not being able to, you kind of got to work to get those high bends, but I get my action set up to where I can at least bend like like those Albert King style, like sometimes two full steps, and I can hit it, and so really just however high I got to have the strings to hit that. There's luckily some wonderful luthiers in Nashville that have taken care of my guitars, making it to where I can bend as far as I want without having to play a complete dog. But that was something when I got the first prototype from Fender. The first thing I did was go for those big bends, and it got it right off the bat. So I think they've nailed it.
Yeah. Were there many prototypes? Was there much back and forth?
Only two prototypes, both of which I've been playing relentlessly on the road. Like when I got the first prototype, we went straight to the Czech Republic for a show with Guns N' Roses, and I kind of took a leap of faith, and didn't even take my original. I just flew over to Europe with the prototype, and I played it for a run of shows. And I gotta say, man, I don't think I even really thought twice about it. Once the show started, I didn't think, oh, I'm playing a new guitar. So
Yeah.
that was but the neck wasn't quite right on the first one. It was just a little bit different. And so we changed that and maybe one other thing. And then it was like, all right, cool, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool is that you can liaise with a company and get exactly the guitar that you want?
Yeah, man, it's such an honor. And like the guys over at the custom shop are just as professional as it gets, and they paid so much attention to detail. Like this guitar is so important to me because like my parents had to like basically take out a loan to get it for me whenever my guitar was stolen. My main original pink Strat was stolen. My dad borrowed some money from a friend, and they surprised me with it on my birthday. And so it's, if you take the pick guard off, there's a message from my family that I didn't find for years. And so there's a lot baked into the guitar for me, and I really wanted it to be right, and it's as good as it could be.
Yeah. How important is the balance and weight of a guitar to you? How it sits in your hands on stage?
You know, it's not something I really have ever really thought about all that much, and there's like, I've done that with the original and the new one. I've picked them up and compared them, and the differences are so minuscule. I don't think I would ever notice. But I'm also I'm from the school of players where, like, the guy that I've really learned a lot from growing up, Roosevelt Twitty, he used to come sit in with the Shakedown when we would pass through Texas, and I would always call him and say, hey, we're gonna have a telly, we're gonna have a couple Strats, like, what guitars do you want me to have ready for you? And he would always say one that has 6 strings. And I always really appreciated that mentality of, like, if you give me a guitar, I'm gonna do what I can with it. So we tried to make it as close as we could. No two pieces of wood are the same. But they did a pretty good job at making the weight as, I mean, the other thing to take into consideration here, I'll show you. The original one is missing half of the material at this point, because of the, like the wood is just kind of all showing from years of playing. And
Yeah.
one thing I wanted with the prototype was I wanted them to, leave a lot of the paint on it. That way, whoever ends up with these guitars can tell their own story with the wear, and I mean, even from the little bit of playing I've done on the prototypes on the road, it's already starting to show its time, and I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah. Is that mainly from sharp belt buckles?
Yeah, belt buckles, bracelets, guitar picks, chewing up the wood over the pick guard, and then also just getting put away in a hurry and shuffled into trailers and trucks and stuff. It's just stuff happens.
It's a limited edition model. Do you know how many they're making?
I do not. I think it's anywhere from 60 to 100, I believe. But I think everyone's kind of curious to see how it's going to go.
Yeah. 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 It's I imagine this will be a guitar you're more likely to take out on the road now than the original.
Oh, I'll still take the original. I'll still take but like we just did a show the other night, and I took the original and the two prototypes, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you need a guitar in your hands to come up with an idea for a riff, or can inspiration strike you anywhere?
No, I don't think a guitar is necessary. It's certainly appreciated a lot of times, but the other night I was gearing up for a session that I'm producing for another artist, and I was laying in bed thinking about, he had given me a title, and I was sitting there running through lyrics in my head. Next thing you know, I'm singing the lyrics, into my phone and writing them down. And then, I didn't want to get up and plug in an amp. So I'm just basically singing the guitar riff into my phone that I heard for the song. And then the next day I listened to the voice memo and I learned the riff that I was singing, and, we were off to the races. So for me, it's like, I always tell young guitar players when they ask for advice, it's like, man, sing what you want to hear in your head, and then find a way to, you don't even have to sing it out loud. You just hear the notes in your head and then find a way to make them real with the guitar.
Yeah. Shake the Roots is the newest album. Are the tracks coming up well live, and do you feel that they grow and develop the more you play them?
Oh, absolutely. We're a band that we rarely play the same song twice, and we've kind of found some cool little angles with some of the new songs to kind of stretch out a little bit and extend certain sections. And like we have a song called Ain't None Watered Down, and we've been experimenting with not bringing the band in till the first chorus, and we've added extended jams, and we really do love to stretch out and see how we can twist things up in a live setting.
Yeah. What about with your solos in the studio? Do you do many takes, and how different is one take from the next?
Oh man, it's so different. It just depends on the song. Like, there's a song on Shake the Roots called Off the Rails, and that take was, the first one I did, and I didn't even do a second one. I did it, and we were working so fast, and sometimes we are just kind of throwing paint at the wall, and the picture starts coming together quickly, and you go, all right, cool. It's like, is that perfect? No. Does it feel good and exciting? And if the answer is yes, then normally we'll move on. But man, sometimes I can, on the other hand, just go down the rabbit hole. And if I'm left to my own devices, I can do 100 takes, without even batting an eye. And for me, that's just a good way of practicing, trying to outdo myself, and trying to play something that I feel like I haven't played before, or something, worthy of having my name on the back of a guitar. That's something, like, we've been working on new Shakedown music, and I've really been thinking about, what I say with the guitar, and how I want it to mean something, not only to myself, but, to the people that listen to it. And, sometimes I can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Why did you decide to create your own label, Rattleshake Records?
Oh man. So we've had wonderful experiences working with multiple record labels over the years, and we've always wanted to take ownership of our music, and for many reasons. One, to have more freedom over when we release music and how frequent we release music. We wanted to use it as an opportunity to build a stronger relationship with our fans, to know that they know when they buy an album, they're supporting us and they're supporting, the music that they like. But yeah, I think really it's just been about kind of clearing the highway for ourselves, because we're the type of band, like, we put out Shake the Roots in September, and we've got a brand new single coming from the next project in March, March 3rd. There's a song called Show Been Worse coming out. So it's I think really it's just the pace. And we've had records shelved before that we spent so much time and energy on that never saw the light of day, and we just want to make sure that didn't happen to us again.
Yeah. Your wife, Rebecca, Larkin Poe are coming back to Australia soon, I think for the second time.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, have you ever been out here?
Yes, I have. I've been to Sydney, Brisbane, and then a place called Mooloolaba.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Australia. I would love to come with the Shakedown. I've only ever been to visit, but I would love to come play some music there.
Yeah. Last time I did speak to Larkin Poe, Megan was telling me that she'd like to make a family album with you, Rebecca, and Megan's husband, Mike Seal. Has that been an idea that's been discussed much?
Oh yeah, well we've never really talked about doing it in a real way, but it gets thrown out at after dinner sometimes, as like, well, we could do this. And I think that we all would love to do that. It's just a matter of letting everyone's dust settle down enough for us to actually do it, because Larkin Poe's been, they've been so busy and on just you know such a rise with their record and their shows, and the Shakedown's obviously been busy, and Mike's out on a cruise right now, so it's just getting us all in the same place long enough to do it.
Yeah. You built your own studio, I think, during the pandemic. What does that mean? What's it meant to your own music making?
Well, it's been inspiring for me. It's like, I always kind of equate it to an alcoholic living in a bar. Because I can always chase the thing that I'm after, and if I'm lucky, I can grab the thing I want and just kind of wring it out. So for me, it's and also just being married to Rebecca. She was Larkin Poe was nominated for a record that Rebecca pretty much made on a laptop on her couch. And I was going, well, I would love for her to have the tools to be able to capture amazing sounding recordings whenever she wants, and for me, obviously, to capture amazing sounding recordings whenever I want. And also just trying to invest in myself and my dream of producing records for other artists. And that's something I've really done a lot of over the last couple of years. Like, as soon as the Shakedown gets home from the road, I'm starting other projects. Like right now, I'm working on a record for Caleb Johnson, and I made a record with Frankie Ballard recently, and I did a song with Zach Person, and co-produced the new Larkin Poe record, as well as a new Shakedown record that's yet to be released. So just always trying to stay inspired and keep my nose to the grindstone.
Yeah. Tell me about the guys in the Shakedown. How far back do you go?
Oh man, I met Caleb Crosby, the drummer, in 2008. So I moved to Nashville when I was 17 years old. He was just a little bit older than me, going to Belmont. And I was looking for a drummer, and he was introduced to me as one of the best drummers in town, and I still think he's one of the best drummers in town, one of the best drummers I know. And not long after that, we met Graham Whitford in New York City, who was introduced to me as the guy that was going to put me out of a job. So I said, "You should just come join our band," because I love, so many of my favorite bands have two guitar players, and I, at that point, Caleb and I had just been playing with a bass player, and the idea of someone kind of holding it down and creating a more of a bed for me to do what I do over. And that's just been, I mean, Graham and I's playing relationship has developed over the years to where we kind of know what each other is going to do before it happens, and we can play off each other and egg each other on, and a really fun inspiring way. And then Ryan Fitz is out playing bass with us live, and he's a phenomenal bass player and singer. So it's a good group of dudes.
Yeah. You've managed to support some really big bands. You mentioned Guns N' Roses before. AC/DC is another one. How did you find that experience?
Oh man, it's great. And also just, shout out to all the amazing rock and roll bands that come from Australia. I feel like there's so many great rock bands that have come out of Australia, like we toured with AC/DC and Airborne, and I'm also I'm a huge Silverchair fan and the Vines fan. Like there's so many bands that I love. But yeah, AC/DC, we were out on tour opening for Billy Gibbons, actually, solo acoustic. Like the band was playing acoustic. And we got a phone call from our old booking agent. He wasn't even representing us at the time. And he said, I think I have an opportunity for you to do a tour with AC/DC, but you get a 3-show audition. So we, left the Gibbons tour and headed for Tacoma, Washington to start our audition with AC/DC. And after the 3rd show, we didn't hear if we got it or not. So we just showed up at the next one. And they were like, oh, yeah, Angus made up his mind after the 1st show. You guys are on the rest of the tour. And then that ended up turning into the world tour where they took us to Europe. And I mean, it was just a phenomenal, another one of those experiences that I can't even really wrap my head around.
Yeah. You mentioned Jeff Beck a couple of times during the interview. He was a guitar hero. You played with him and got to know him. How did you find out about his passing?
I had, I think there started to be rumors, and a friend sent me a text. I had just woken up. A friend sent me a text and said, told me. And so I immediately started calling people that might know if it was true or not. Yeah. Just devastating news, what a loss. But yeah, he's the best that ever was and ever will be, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, the greatest. And he was always just the coolest to me, the first guy to ever really like let me ride on a tour bus. And, he really did treat me well when I got to roll with him, And then we stayed in touch over the years too. Like I would always send him stuff I was working on, and he would write back with what he liked, or give me his opinion every now and then. I really appreciated that.
Yeah. So what's on for the rest of 2023 for you?
Oh man, well I'm finishing some production projects for some records that I'm working on, and trying to grow Rattleshake. Constantly working with the Shakedown. Like we have this new record coming out at the end of March called Dirty Work. It's an EP, and we're doing a limited run of shell pink vinyl to kind of coincide with the release of the signature model guitar. And the first single of that, Show Been Worse, comes out March 3rd with a video. And yeah, just I got a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of shows on the horizon. So
yeah. And what's the grand plan for Tyler Bryant?
what's the grand plan for me?
Yeah.
I'll just make as much as music as I can and enjoy my life doing so. I really do just, get a lot of joy out of doing this. Like, yesterday I was in the studio with this artist, Avi Copland, and, at the end of the day, I called my wife and I was like, I had so much fun today. And, we were just writing and recording a song. And at the end of the day, it's like having that feeling of going, yeah, that was a good way to spend my time. I just want to do more of that. And, playing live shows is that is a whole other kind of joy that I don't think I could live without. So just doing it all as much as I can,